Hello, my name is Kozmo. I am a professional Ableton producer and national touring electronic artist. I've been using Ableton for about 5 years, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a reese style bass using operator and sampler. First thing we're going to want to do is drag an operator into our arrangement view here. By default, operator is set to a sine wave, so we're going to go to oscillator A at this time and change it to a saw wave. Next, we will go over to the algorithm of operator, and we'll want to choose the rightmost pattern here, which will allow all 4 oscillators to play in parallel. Next, we'll go to oscillator B, and we will change that to a sawtooth as well. We'll start to introduce some of oscillator B by turning up the level knob. Right now you may not be noticing much difference, but as we adjust the fine frequency knob on oscillator B, you will begin to hear some of the pulsing that is typical of the reese sound. Now we're getting a little bit closer to what we're looking for. I'm now going to go to oscillator C and change that waveform to a sawtooth as well. I will also adjust the coarse and move that up to 2 so we can move this oscillator up 1 octave. This will allow me to cover a little bit broader frequency spectrum. I'll now go ahead and turn up the level of oscillator C and also adjust the fine frequency knob to get the sound that I'm looking for. You'll notice now that we're getting some nice movement as the 3 oscillators pulse in and out of phase with each other. Next, we're going to make about a 4 or 5 second long MIDI clip. I'll locate the note that I've been playing on my keyboard here, which is F, which is pretty typical of drum and bass style of music. And we're going to stretch that note out for the duration of that MIDI clip. Let's hear what we got. I'm now going to record the output of this operator into a new audio track. Finding the operator output here on the inputs of this audio track, and we'll also turn the monitoring to auto, and let's record and enable it. Alright, now we have about a 5 second long, all original reese bass audio clip, which we can actually use for further sounds down the road. Next, we're going to go ahead and make a MIDI track down below. I'll also mute the original operator synth that we had. We won't be using that anymore. I'm going to take a sampler and drag that onto the MIDI track that we just made. And I'll go ahead and drag the sample that we just made into that sampler. I'll also mute that audio track that we had before as well, because all of our focus will now be on the sampler below. I'm going to go to the root key now, and I want to adjust that to an F, which is the note that we played earlier when we recorded this sample. This makes it so that now any key that I play on the keyboard will also be played in this sample correctly. Let's bring it up an octave or 2. And sure enough, as I hit an F, that same note that we heard before is triggering again. Alright, so a couple things I want to do with this sampler right as we throw it into the sampler. I'm going to go over to the Filter Global tab, and I'm going to first adjust the volume to 0. And I'll also go to the voices here and set that to 1, because for this bass sound, we'll only be needing to play 1 note at a time. Next, I'm going to go back to the sampler, and where the magic really happens is actually by looping a small section of this reese bass. So as we play it back and hold down our keyboard, it will loop that small section and get a little bit more of that pulsing rhythm that we're looking for. Let's take a listen. Getting a lot closer, getting a lot better there. Also, feel free to move the loop length as to wherever you see fit to get the sound that you're looking for. I kind of like it right there. Now right now as it loops back, it kind of is getting a little bit of a stutter sound. By turning snap on, we are able to remove some of that stuttering sound and also reduce any potential clicks that may happen as the loop plays back. Next, I will introduce a little bit of this crossfade here so that the start and end of our loop will fade into itself. Alright, getting a little bit closer here. One final thing that I would like to do is go into the pitch oscillator tab and go down to the glide section, and let's turn that on. And I'll set my time to somewhere around 100 milliseconds. And you'll notice how that sound really starts to sound familiar once we glide from one note to the next. Alright, let's record a short MIDI loop here and hear it in context with a drum beat. A quick quantize to help me out with my shoddy key playing. And I'll also go ahead and extend the ends of those MIDI notes a little bit so that we get some additional glide between each note. Going back into our sampler here one time. Take a look here, and I actually want to adjust the glide time just a little bit more. Let's go 150 milliseconds because I'm feeling groovy. I'm going to turn my loop on, and I'll also unmute this almond break that I have from earlier. And let's take a listen to see what we got. Alright, and there we have it. So today we have started out by making an initial sound of this kind of a detuned saw wave coming out of our operator synth here. We recorded that to an audio track, and then we went ahead and dragged that audio into a sampler to allow us to play it back on our keyboard, and also so we could loop a small section of that sample to really achieve that resound that we're looking for. I hope this helped you out. Thank you.